The only person who will prioritize your career success over their own is you. And the sooner you accept this reality, the sooner you will stop being a victim of workplace politics and start becoming a master of your own destiny. Every company policy about teamwork and collaboration is designed to make you dependent on systems and people you cannot control, while the executives who create these policies build their own success through strategic independence and calculated self-interest. The brutal truth is that corporate environments are designed to keep most people fighting for scraps, while a few individuals who understand the real rules build empires. The difference between those who struggle for decades in middle management and those who achieve extraordinary success is not talent or luck. It is the willingness to abandon the illusion of workplace friendship and embrace the power of complete self-reliance. Success is not a team sport. Let me tell you something that will shock you, something that goes against everything you have been taught about climbing the corporate ladder and building your career. The people sitting next to you in those Monday morning meetings, the colleagues who grab coffee with you, the ones who smile and ask about your weekend, they are not your friends. They never were and they never will be. This is not about being negative or cynical. This is about understanding the fundamental truth that will either make or break your professional life. Every single person in your workplace, from the newest intern to the CEO, has one primary objective: their own success. And if your success stands in the way of theirs, they will eliminate you without a second thought. Let me tell you about Emma, a brilliant marketing executive who worked for a major advertising agency in Chicago. Emma was the kind of person everyone loved. She brought donuts on Friday mornings, remembered birthdays, and stayed late to help colleagues with their presentations. She genuinely believed that her work friends would support her career growth. Emma had built what she thought were strong friendships with her team members. They went to happy hours together, shared personal stories, and Emma even helped several of them through difficult times in their personal lives. When a senior marketing director position opened up, Emma was confident she would get the promotion. She had the best performance numbers, the strongest client relationships, and what she believed was the full support of her team. But something happened that changed her life forever. During the selection process, Emma learned that her closest work friend, someone she had mentored and supported for 2 years, had been systematically undermining her behind closed doors. This person had been collecting information about Emma's projects, taking credit for her ideas in private meetings with management, and even sharing Emma's personal struggles with decision makers to make her appear unstable. Emma did not get the promotion. Her so-called friend did. The betrayal was so complete and so calculated that Emma realized she had been living in a fantasy world. She had confused professional courtesy with genuine friendship, and it cost her everything she had worked for. Your brain is wired to seek social connection. This is a survival mechanism that served our ancestors well when they lived in small tribes, where cooperation meant the difference between life and death. But in the modern corporate world, this same instinct becomes your greatest weakness. You want to belong, to be liked, to feel part of a group. So you share your dreams, your fears, your strategies, and your vulnerabilities with people who are fundamentally your competitors. The business world operates on one principle: profit maximization. Every decision, every policy, every relationship within a company exists to serve this goal. The company you work for does not care about your happiness, your friendships, or your personal growth, except to the extent that these things increase productivity and profits. The moment you become a liability, or when someone else can deliver better results, you will be replaced without hesitation. Those team-building exercises, company picnics, and open office designs are not about building genuine relationships. They are carefully designed psychological tools to create an illusion of family and friendship while maintaining a competitive environment where only the strongest survive. The company benefits when employees feel emotionally connected because it increases loyalty and reduces turnover costs. But make no mistake, this is a business strategy. not a gesture of genuine care. When you depend on others for your success, you give them power over your destiny. Every time you rely on a colleague to support your ideas, every time you expect a work friend to put in a good word for you, every time you trust someone else to protect your interests, you are gambling with your future. The odds are never in your favor because their primary motivation will always be their own advancement. The most successful people in business understand this fundamental truth. They take complete ownership of their careers. They do not wait for recognition from others or depend on colleagues to validate their worth. They build their own reputation, create their own opportunities, and control their own destiny. They understand that self-reliance is not loneliness, it is power. This does not mean you should be rude or antisocial. Professional success requires you to work with others, to be personable and collaborative. But there is a crucial difference between being friendly and being friends. You can maintain positive, productive relationships with colleagues without emotional attachment or dependence. You can be the person others enjoy working with while keeping your guard up and your interests protected. The workplace is filled with people who will smile at you while planning your downfall. They will offer help while gathering information to use against you. They will celebrate your small wins while secretly hoping for your major failures. This is not because they are evil people. They are simply playing the game according to its real rules, while you might still be playing according to the fantasy rules you were taught. Your career success depends entirely on your ability to see this reality clearly and adapt your behavior accordingly. The moment you stop looking for friends at work and start focusing on building your own unshakable foundation, you will begin to see opportunities that were invisible before. You will make decisions based on strategic thinking rather than emotional attachment. You will protect yourself from betrayal because you will never put yourself in a position where betrayal can destroy you. The harsh truth is that in the professional world you are alone. But this isolation is not a weakness. It is your greatest strength. When you stop depending on others and start depending entirely on yourself, you become unstoppable. You become the person who creates opportunities instead of waiting for them. You become the person who controls outcomes instead of hoping for favorable treatment from others. This is where your real journey begins, not with the false comfort of workplace friendships, but with the powerful realization that your success is entirely in your hands. Now that you understand the surface reality, let me take you deeper into the psychological forces that drive every interaction in your workplace. What you see in those conference rooms and cubicles is just the tip of the iceberg. Below the surface, there is a complex web of competition, manipulation, and survival instincts that would make a nature documentary look tame. James thought he had found the perfect mentor. Patricia was a senior vice president who had taken him under her wing when he joined the consulting firm. She invited him to important meetings, gave him high visibility projects, and seemed genuinely invested in his development. James trusted her completely. He shared his career goals, his concerns about other team members, and even his long-term plan to eventually start his own consulting practice. Patricia nodded encouragingly, offered advice, and praised his ambition. Patricia said, "The only rule in becoming wealthy on your own is to..." What James did not know was that Patricia was systematically sabotaging every project she assigned to him. She would give him incomplete information, set impossible deadlines, and then criticize his results in front of senior management. When James finally landed a major client presentation, Patricia scheduled a conflicting meeting for key stakeholders, ensuring the presentation would fail. She was not helping James grow. She was positioning herself as indispensable by making sure no one beneath her could threaten her position. The revelation came when James accidentally overheard Patricia talking to another executive about how she was managing James's expectations and ensuring he would not become competition for future promotions. The woman he had trusted as a mentor had been orchestrating his failure from day one. She saw his potential and made a calculated decision to neutralize the threat he represented to her own career advancement. This is how the human brain operates in professional environments. Every person you work with is running constant calculations about threats and opportunities. They are assessing your strengths, identifying your weaknesses, and determining how your success or failure affects their own position. This is not conscious malice. This is evolutionary psychology playing out in modern office buildings. Your colleagues have inherited the same survival instincts that kept your ancestors alive in hostile environments. The part of their brain that once watched for predators and competitors for food and shelter is now watching for colleagues who might get the promotion they want, the recognition they crave, or the resources they need. The stakes might seem lower than life and death, but to the primitive brain, career threats feel just as real and urgent. This creates what psychologists call a scarcity mindset. In most workplace environments, there are limited promotions, limited budgets, limited recognition, and limited opportunities. When 10 people are competing for one management position, 9 people must lose for one person to win. This mathematical reality shapes every relationship and every interaction, even when people are not consciously aware of it. The smile you receive from the colleague who just heard about your successful presentation is often masking resentment or calculation. They are wondering what your success means for their own prospects. They are considering whether they should align with you or find a way to diminish your achievement. This is not personal. This is human nature responding to competitive pressure. Office politics are simply survival instincts dressed in business attire. The alliances that form between departments, the informal power structures that develop around influential people, the whisper campaigns that destroy reputations. These are all modern versions of tribal dynamics that have existed for thousands of years. Understanding this helps you see workplace relationships for what they really are. Strategic partnerships that can be dissolved the moment circumstances change. Traditional networking advice tells you to build relationships, to be helpful, to make friends who will support your career. This advice is dangerous because it assumes other people will prioritize your interests over their own. The reality is that most networking relationships are transactional. People maintain connections with you as long as you provide value to them. The moment you become irrelevant to their goals, or worse, an obstacle to their success, those relationships will disappear. The most damaging aspect of workplace relationships is how they encourage you to share information that will eventually be used against you. When you tell a colleague about your job interview at another company, you give them ammunition to undermine your current position. When you complain about your boss to a trusted coworker, you create evidence that can be reported back to management. When you share your innovative ideas in casual conversation, you hand someone else the opportunity to present those ideas as their own. Information is the currency of power in professional environments. The person who knows the most about upcoming changes, budget allocations, management decisions, and colleague vulnerabilities has significant advantages over everyone else. Smart professionals hoard information like gold and only share it when they receive something valuable in return. Meanwhile, trusting employees give away their most valuable assets for nothing more than the temporary illusion of friendship. Your personal struggles become weapons in the hands of ambitious colleagues. The divorce you are going through, the financial pressures you are facing, the health issues in your family. These human experiences that you might naturally want to share with sympathetic coworkers become evidence of your instability or distraction, while you are looking for support and understanding. Others are calculating how your personal challenges might affect your professional performance and whether this creates opportunities for them to advance. Even your successes can work against you when shared with the wrong people. The promotion you are excited about, the client relationship you have built, the new skills you have developed. These achievements can inspire jealousy, trigger competitive responses, or motivate others to find ways to diminish your accomplishments. The natural human desire to celebrate with others becomes a strategic mistake that gives competitors insights into your strengths and progress. This is why the most successful people maintain strict boundaries between their professional and personal lives. They understand that vulnerability is a luxury they cannot afford in competitive environments. They share information strategically, form alliances carefully, and never mistake professional courtesy for genuine friendship. They operate with the understanding that everyone they work with is ultimately looking out for their own interests first, and they structure their behavior accordingly. The psychology of workplace dynamics is complex, but the lesson is simple. Everyone is playing to win, and they are willing to sacrifice your success to achieve their own. Understanding the reality of workplace dynamics is only the beginning. The real power comes from building an unshakable foundation that makes you immune to the games others play. When you create a fortress of success based entirely on your own capabilities and strategic thinking, you transform from a vulnerable target into an unstoppable force. Lisa learned this lesson the hard way after being passed over for promotion 3 times because of office politics and colleague sabotage. She made a decision that changed everything. Instead of continuing to play by the traditional rules, she decided to build her own empire. Lisa started developing consulting skills during her lunch breaks, took online courses in the evenings, and began building relationships with clients outside her company. Within 18 months, she had quietly built a consulting practice that generated more income than her corporate salary. The day Lisa handed in her resignation, her former colleagues were shocked. They had been so busy plotting against each other for internal promotions that they never noticed Lisa was building something far more valuable. While they fought over scraps, she had created her own feast. The woman they thought they had defeated had actually been preparing for victory on an entirely different battlefield. This is the power of the self-sufficient mindset. When your success does not depend on anyone else's approval, recommendation, or support, you become truly free. You stop worrying about office politics because they become irrelevant to your goals. You stop seeking validation from colleagues because you measure success by your own standards. You stop playing defense and start playing offense. Self-sufficiency begins with developing skills that make you irreplaceable. Not irreplaceable to your current company, because no one is truly irreplaceable in any organization, but irreplaceable in the marketplace. When you possess knowledge, abilities, and expertise that create value wherever you go, you hold all the power in every professional relationship. You become the person others need, rather than the person who needs others. The most successful professionals treat their careers like entrepreneurs treat their businesses. They invest in their own development, build their own reputation, and create their own opportunities. They do not wait for training programs or mentorship opportunities. They take responsibility for acquiring the knowledge and skills they need. They do not hope for recognition. They create work so outstanding that recognition becomes inevitable. Strategic relationship building is entirely different from traditional networking. Instead of seeking friends or trying to be liked, you focus on creating mutually beneficial connections based on value exchange. You identify people who possess resources, knowledge, or opportunities that could benefit your goals, and you determine what value you can provide to them in return. These relationships are professional, respectful, and clearly defined, but they are not emotional or dependent. The key to strategic relationships is maintaining appropriate distance while being genuinely helpful. You can provide value to others, share useful information, and collaborate effectively without revealing your vulnerabilities or depending on their goodwill for your success. You approach each interaction with the understanding that the relationship exists to serve specific professional purposes, and you are prepared for it to end when those purposes are no longer aligned. One of the most powerful strategies for building independence is creating what I call your personal board of directors. These are mentors, advisors, and successful professionals who exist outside your current workplace and have no stake in your company's internal politics. They can provide honest feedback, strategic advice, and career guidance without any conflict of interest or hidden agenda. Your personal board of directors should include people from different industries, different career stages, and different backgrounds. Some might be former colleagues who have moved to other companies. Others might be industry leaders you have met at conferences or through professional associations. The key is that their success is not threatened by your advancement, and their advice comes from genuine expertise rather than workplace politics. Building relationships with external mentors requires a different approach than internal networking. You must provide clear value in exchange for their time and knowledge. This might mean doing research for them, making valuable introductions, or sharing insights from your own experience. The relationship is professional and reciprocal, but it is based on mutual respect rather than emotional attachment. Documentation becomes your shield against workplace manipulation and false accusations. When you maintain detailed records of your contributions, communications, and achievements, you protect yourself from people who might try to rewrite history to serve their own interests. Every email, every project outcome, every client interaction becomes evidence of your value and professionalism. Smart professionals keep copies of all important communications, maintain personal records of their achievements and contributions, and document any interactions that might become problematic later. This is not paranoia, this is strategic protection. When someone tries to take credit for your work or blame you for their failures, your documentation becomes an unassailable defense. Your portfolio should tell the complete story of your professional value without requiring testimonials or references from current colleagues. Client results, project outcomes, skills, certifications, and measurable achievements create a compelling case for your capabilities that transcends any single workplace or relationship. When your work speaks for itself, you do not need anyone else to speak for you. Building a fortress of success means creating multiple sources of income and opportunity. Successful professionals do not put all their eggs in one corporate basket. They develop side businesses, consulting practices, investment portfolios, and alternative income streams that provide both financial security and professional leverage. When you have options, you never have to accept poor treatment or compromise your values for job security. The goal is not to isolate yourself from all professional relationships, but to ensure that your success never depends on the goodwill or cooperation of others. When every aspect of your career advancement is under your direct control, you transform from a person who hopes for opportunities into a person who creates them. This fortress of self-reliance does not make you antisocial or uncooperative. Instead, it makes you more valuable as a colleague and more confident in your interactions. When you do not need anything from others, you can be genuinely helpful without ulterior motives, and you can collaborate effectively without fear or desperation. The strongest fortress is not built to keep others out. It is built to ensure that you can succeed regardless of what others choose to do. The path to extraordinary success is not crowded. It is a lonely road that most people refuse to walk because they cannot bear the weight of their own company. But for those brave enough to embrace solitude as their greatest asset, this isolation becomes the foundation of unshakable achievement. Every revolutionary breakthrough, every industry-changing innovation, every empire that has stood the test of time was built by someone who understood that greatness requires separation from the crowd. When you stop seeking approval and start seeking excellence, when you stop trying to fit in and start standing out, you enter a realm of possibility that most people never experience. The most successful people in history have been comfortable with solitude. They understood that the noise and distraction of constant social interaction prevents the deep thinking and focused effort that creates exceptional results. While others waste time managing relationships and navigating social dynamics, the truly successful use that same time to master their craft, study their industry, and build their capabilities. Solitude breeds innovation because it eliminates the pressure to conform. When you are not constantly seeking social validation, you are free to pursue ideas that others might find strange or risky. You can experiment with approaches that go against conventional wisdom, You can take calculated risks without worrying about how failure might affect your social standing. This freedom to think independently is where breakthrough solutions are born. Thomas built his technology empire by trusting absolutely no one except himself. When he started his first software company at age 28, he had no business partners, no investors, and no employees. Everyone told him he was making a mistake. His former colleagues laughed at his decision to leave a secure corporate job. Business advisors warned him that no one succeeds alone in the technology industry. Thomas ignored every piece of advice. He wrote code during the day and handled sales calls at night. He managed customer service in the morning and worked on product development in the evening. Instead of hiring employees who might steal his ideas or demand equity, he automated everything possible and outsourced specific tasks to freelancers who never saw the complete picture of his business. Within 5 years, Thomas had built a software platform that generated more revenue than the entire department he used to work for. He owned 100% of his company, owed nothing to investors, and answered to no one except his customers, while his former colleagues were still fighting for promotions and dealing with office politics. Thomas was building generational wealth through relentless individual effort. The critics who said he could not succeed alone were proven wrong. But more importantly, Thomas proved to himself that self-reliance is not just possible, it is the most direct path to extraordinary success. He eliminated every variable he could not control and focused entirely on the factors that were within his power. Your success machine must be designed to function without any external dependencies. This means developing systems, processes, and capabilities that do not require other people to maintain or operate. It means building multiple income streams so that no single source of revenue can be cut off by someone else's decision. It means acquiring skills and knowledge that belong to you permanently, regardless of which company employs you or which industry you work in. The compound effect of consistent solitary effort creates results that appear magical to outside observers. When you spend years building your capabilities while others spend the same time managing relationships and playing politics, the gap in your respective achievements becomes enormous. What looks like overnight success to others is actually the inevitable result of sustained individual focus and effort. Every hour you do not spend in unnecessary meetings is an hour you can spend learning new skills. Every minute you do not waste on office gossip is a minute you can invest in building your business or improving your craft. Every ounce of energy you do not drain through social drama is energy you can channel into productive work. The cumulative advantage of this focused approach becomes unstoppable over time. The freedom that comes from owing nothing to anyone is the ultimate luxury. When your success is entirely self-generated, no one can threaten to take it away. No boss can fire you from your own business. No colleague can sabotage work that depends only on your own effort. No company reorganization can eliminate a position you created for yourself. This independence extends beyond financial freedom into psychological freedom, when you do not need anyone else's approval, permission, or cooperation to achieve your goals. You can make decisions based purely on logic and strategy. You can pursue opportunities that excite you without worrying about how others will react. You can change direction when circumstances warrant without having to negotiate with partners or convince colleagues. The legacy you build through self-reliance becomes a model for others who are brave enough to follow the same path. Your success demonstrates that the conventional wisdom about teamwork and collaboration, while useful in certain contexts, is not the only way to achieve extraordinary results. You prove that individual excellence, properly focused and consistently applied, can outperform any team effort. More importantly, your independence creates a ripple effect that influences everyone around you. When people see what you have accomplished alone, they begin to question their own dependence on others. Some will be inspired to pursue their own path of self-reliance. Others will respect you in ways they never respected team players. All will recognize that you operate according to different rules and possess a different kind of power. The road you have chosen is not easy, but it is certain. While others hope for favorable treatment from bosses, luck in company politics, and loyalty from colleagues, you control every variable that matters, while they worry about factors beyond their influence. You focus entirely on actions within your power. Your greatest achievements are still ahead of you, waiting to be claimed by the person you are becoming through this discipline of solitude. The empire you will build will stand as proof that one person, acting with complete focus and unwavering determination, can accomplish more than any committee, any team, or any organization that depends on the coordination of multiple personalities and agendas. The age of self-reliance has begun, and you are its pioneer.